Hey everybody, this is Erin with Flying Solo. Tonight is normally my membership meeting, and unfortunately, nobody was able to make it. So, what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to teach you guys what I was going to teach them. And maybe this will give you an idea of what's included in a Learning to Fly membership. So, tonight we are going to talk about the invisible weight of grief, carrying the loss while trying to function. So, I have a quick Canva presentation I'm going to share with you as well. But I wanted to talk about this. So let me share my screen. Present mode so you guys can see it. So we're going to talk about the invisible weight of grief, carrying loss while trying to function. So the opening question for tonight is, what or have you ever gone to work, made dinner, answered texts, smiled at someone, and then wondered, how am I even doing this right now? So for many women, this is what grief is, right? We often picture grief as tears, sadness, and moments of obvious heartbreak, but the reality of grief is it's invisible. It looks like paying the bills when your heart is still shattered. It looks like getting your children to school, trying to at least, while you barely can get out of bed. And it looks like answering, I'm fine, when you feel anything but fine. Many women become experts at functioning while silently carrying unimaginable pain. So today I want to talk about that invisible weight of grief and why surviving each day is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. And this is how, especially as moms, especially as strong women, we often just are pushing through, and we're doing the I'm fine, and we're not discussing what we're really feeling. So tonight we're going to discuss four parts: grief doesn't stop life, the invisible symptoms of grief, why women pretend they're okay, and the permission to survive differently. So part one is grief doesn't stop life. The hardest thing about grief is that the world keeps moving. The dishes still need to be done. The emails still need to be answered. The kids still need drives places, and the appointments still need to be made. No one hands you a pause button. No one says, let's just put life on hold while you grieve, right? So, and I'm using the W word I always hate to use, but as a widow, a single mom, and a grief coach, I know this personally. Grief doesn't remove your responsibilities. In many cases, it adds to your responsibilities. You suddenly become the decision maker, the organizer, the caregiver, the chauffeur, the financial planner, and the emotional support for everyone else around you, while you're simultaneously trying to process your own pain. This creates a unique kind of exhaustion because you're grieving at the same time you're just trying to survive. So when we're in this stage, my question for you is where in your life have you ever felt pressured to keep functioning even though your heart was breaking? And I will be honest with you, it was the week after the funeral. I felt the pressure, and little did I realize I was doing it to myself, but I felt the pressure to go back to normal, right? To pretend like nothing was going on, to be back at work, to get the kids back in school, and just keep moving on as if nothing in our life had changed, when really everything in our life had changed. And that often is the hardest thing for all of us to have to deal with. So I'd love to hear what you all thought. I'm going to post this in a way that I hope everybody can make comments and follow through. But if you watch along, I would love to hear what you think. So part two is the invisible symptoms of grief, where people often expect grief to look like we're just crying. Grief actually looks like brain fog. You forget appointments. You walk into a room and don't remember why. I've always done that, but it was worse after John passed. You can't concentrate. Then you have decision fatigue. Even simple decisions become overwhelming. What should I make for dinner? This was a hard one for me because I was never good at making these decisions, but now I had to make them, right? Nobody else could do this for me. What forms do I fill out? What should I wear? Just as simple as trying to figure out what I was going to put on for the day became worse than it ever was before. You have the physical exhaustion because your body is carrying stress and trauma. You may often experience fatigue, headaches, digestive issues, sleeping problems, muscle tension, and increased anxiety. And then you have the emotional exhaustion. You feel numb, irritable, disconnected. You're guilty for laughing, guilty for crying, guilty for resting. And grief, while grief touches every part of us, the mind, body, and the spirit, this is why functioning can honestly be really hard. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're carrying something incredibly heavy. What so while you're thinking about all of this, I want you to ask yourself, what have you been carrying that's unimaginably heavy and incredibly heavy, and that you think you should be able to do okay, and nobody should realize that you're suffering while you're struggling to get things done. Was a very normal part of me, because in my family growing up, we didn't really grieve. We just pushed away these feelings and moved on. I didn't take the time to really think about what grieving was going to be like. I'd heard about the brain fog or grief brain, but I didn't understand it. And it wasn't until I was in the middle of it. I told my best friend how I was feeling. She says, "Yeah, that's grief brain. That's the brain fog." And then it just became real and felt more real than it ever had before. So then we ask, why do women pretend they're okay? Many women become experts on carrying grief quietly. We don't want anyone to know what we're feeling, right? So the reason why do we do that? No, we do it because we've learned to take care of everyone else first, to be strong, to keep going, to avoid burdening others, or to put our feelings on hold and deal with everybody else around us. So what do we say? Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. Oh, I'm just tired. I'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Underneath what we're feeling is, I'm overwhelmed. I'm lonely. I'm exhausted, and I'm scared. We become so good at surviving that often people forget that we're grieving. And sometimes we forget to ask ourselves, who's going to take care of me? I had someone early on after John passed, I had someone that checked in on me on a regular basis. And I still have friends that on a regular basis will check, semi-regular basis will check on me. But it's been 3.5 years, right? So nobody's focusing on my difficulties anymore, because I have done so good at pretending I'm okay and pretending that grief doesn't bother me, or pretending that everything's fine, that the kids are okay, that we're not struggling anymore. But sometimes we're still struggling, and sometimes just walking into some place that I was with John makes things very hard. So I just have to keep moving. So do you have a time in your life where you've been so good at pretending you're okay that you start to wonder, who's going to take care of me? Who's going to be there for me? If you feel that way, I want you to let me know. Message me, email me, talk to me. I want to know if you feel like I need someone to take care of me. That's what I'm here for. And then the next one is the final step here is we're going to give you permission to survive differently. So what if functioning during grief doesn't mean you have to do everything perfectly? What if surviving looked like ordering takeout, or saying no, letting the laundry wait till later and do it some other time, asking somebody for help, crying when you need to and not pretending to be strong, taking a nap when you just can't function anymore, or lowering your expectations, or lowering the expectations of those around you. Healing isn't about doing more. It's about doing less while carrying more. You have to give yourself permission to do that. The goal here is surviving. And especially in these early stages, surviving is the most important thing. Then slowly, you'll start finding your footing. You'll rediscover yourself, and you begin to build a life around loss. That's why I am calling, or that's why I call moving forward first with my programs. We are functioning after loss, then we're finding ourselves after loss, and then we move to flourishing. So first you have to learn how to function before you can find yourself, before you can flourish. Hope that makes sense to all of you. And this is the reason why my programs are designed this way. This is why I want to do this for you. So in closing, I want to tell you, if no one has told you this lately, you don't have to pretend that you're okay. You don't have to carry your grief alone. That's why flying solo and learning to fly is here. And if all you've done today is get out of bed, make one phone call, or simply keep breathing throughout the day, throughout another hard day, that's enough. Getting out of bed is enough. It's simply continuing to show up while carrying that invisible weight of loss. Because sometimes the bravest thing a grieving woman can do is not, excuse me, because sometimes the bravest thing a grieving woman does is not moving on. So, my question for you, and the whole reason I did tonight's session is what is one thing you can give yourself permission to let go of this week so you don't have to carry quite so much alone? I want you to think about that. I want you to really look at your life and say, what can I do this week? What can I give up this week so I don't have to carry so much and do it all by myself? And when you figure that out, I want you to message me. I want you to either comment on this video, comment on my post on Facebook that I'm going to attach this video to, or I want you to send me a message and say, Erin, I'm giving myself permission to talk to you this week. Erin, I'm giving myself permission to not having my house be perfectly clean. I'm giving myself permission to take a couple of nights off from cooking. Whatever it takes, whatever you need to do. Oops, wrong button. Whatever you need to do, that's what you need to do for you. That's why I created Flying Solo. That's why I created Learning to Fly. And that's why I want to be here for all of you every day, supporting you, helping you find your path, and helping you find your wings. Because until you can learn to fly, you're not going to figure out what's next. Learning to fly is your first step, or accepting the fact that you need to learn to fly again is the next step. Accepting that you're not the same person you was before you lost that person in your life, and accepting that things are going to be different. So I'm here for you. Learning to fly is here for you. Flying solo is here for you. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. You just have to learn to fly. Have a good night. Bye.